Alright, here's my strategy on this one. I could tell from the aerial photo that this had been logged probably within the last 10-15 years. And as you can see, it is super duper thick, which is exactly the type of habitat I'm looking for a decent buck. I mean, a buck needs a place to hide to get big. So it's thick here. I've got more mature woods over here, and it's a little bit more opened up. I mean, right here looks a little bit thicker, but as you get back into the woods, it kind of opens up. There's lots of oak trees all throughout here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to marry this whole thing together in that I'm going to walk the edge of this. There is an old logging road that you can tell people still utilize, which is a bummer, so more people can get back in here a little easily, but I'm going to walk the edge of this to, there's an area where there's two draws that come up out of the thick. So what I'm going to hope to do is catch the bucks coming out of the thick from bedding down in there, maybe catch them coming out of a draw into a saddle. If there's a little bit of a saddle up there, I have to go check it out. And I'm going to look for oak trees right around there. So they come up out of the bedding, hit a couple oaks, and then, you know, acorns, and then head on out to wherever he wants to go. That's the strategy for this type of spot. That's why I'm looking at this. I just made it to one of my points of interest, what brought me back here. And here's an old abandoned ground blind. And there's something screwed onto this tree over here. I'm not sure what it was used for, but it's probably, I don't know if it was for some kind of a trail camera or baiting or what. Just came upon a mineral site, pretty fresh one too. I don't see the person's trail camera if they even have one up. I would think they would, but looks like a lucky buck. This is a little bit of a bummer. I mean, where I'm going is another probably half mile back in, but I did not want to see that. Here is the person's camera. They probably got about 15 pictures of me on there. I'm getting close to a waypoint I have. The waypoint I put in is actually right over there, maybe 50 yards. But I'm walking this old logging road back in through this. You can tell they had cut this. See how thick it is? That's one of the reasons I wanted to come look at this. But there's a natural occurring water hole right here, which you know, you'd think might draw deer this time of year, summer, early season. I don't see any significant amount of deer tracks around it though, but this is a pretty decent spot, and there's a nice oak tree right there. I could get up and hide up in there in a hang on and have clear shooting for deer that cross the logging road. This is a good filter zone because there's a draw that comes up from over there, and so I will mark this point in the GPS and consider it. Although having that person with the mineral site, that's getting back almost about a half mile from where I'm at now. But you know, still it could work in my advantage if it pushed deer toward me, but the layout of the land, the deer wouldn't necessarily run by me. If I was set up here, they'd go way down in that thick stuff and hide. I am pretty confident. Alright, this tree here is the tree I'm looking at. But this is by far the best spot. There are some trails that come across. I'm at the top of a draw here, but the main reason I stopped right here is because coming off of the access trail, there's some really beat deer runs right here. It splits, so it kind of goes, let's see, right across that way, but it splits. So there's a good deer trail that kind of goes off in that direction, and this one feeds down through here. And there's also, like I was saying, trails that filter up, so that right there is the tree. I imagine this is a morning spot. Down in the valley below over there, there are some, I can hear, I think there's cattle out in some fields way down there. I mean, it's like maybe 3/4 of a mile away, but there's a chance that there'll be movement coming up. But this highway, deer trail highway, goes across, and this goes out the edge of a spur. So it just creates, this is the first travel corridor I've seen. There's a concern like maybe it's not deer making this, but there's enough compressions in the leaves here to give me the indication that this is a travel corridor. And this is the best I've come across so far. So this probably should be my #1 spot for like a morning sit. Okay, so I had that deer highway coming across the access trail. And then I started to walk down after picking out that last spot. And I found another highway coming on a diagonal. And it comes around the top of this draw and ultimately feeds into the same area where the other highway is. So basically I have several highways dumping into this area right in here. And I'm looking at, there's an oak tree right here. I could climb up to there and have my platform right around that lower branch and then just take the seat off and put it up above and be in that tree there. I'm about 15 yards from that tree to here. This is the one major highway, and then the other ones kind of filter in just a few yards on the other side. So this is like a filter zone, and there's a chance there could be some on the other side of this top of the spur here. So this is probably going to be a better spot because I'm getting more travel into one spot here. It doesn't look like it's going to have shooting to the other side of the spur though, so everything's going to be right here. So I'm going to mark that tree though. Wish I could get a little higher, but I'm going to mark that tree and hopefully the wind would cooperate for this spot. Alright, I'm walking back. The access trail's right on the other side of me here, about 20 yards. And the fence for the private property is over there about 30 yards or so. And I was just walking the fence road down just to see where deer crossings were. And I heard a good sized deer jump and take a few hops in that direction. And then I found some really beat trails. It could be just pigs, but it could be deer trails. So I followed them up into here a little bit. And I got this tree marked for a climber. There is a little dead branch sticking off right there, just to be mindful of. Have to work around that. But this tree right here is a good one for a climber. And this is actually a very good spot. I would say the one that I marked this morning would be, let's say, a #1 spot. This would be a #2. This would be a morning spot. Both of these spots would be, I think, morning. Alright, so this is the private property, grassy field type area. Here's the fence that divides it. And basically my strategy is walking the fence to see if there's some areas where trees have fallen on the fence, knocking it down at least partially, making it easier for deer to jump over. You can see right here the pigs are going under the fence right here, and it's kind of dirt right here just from where they come through. They've beaten out a trail. So I'm sure there's a lot of pigs. It's a shame this isn't a pig hunt. We'd be having lots of success then. I do see a ladder stand right here on the private property. See if we can zoom in on it here. There's a ladder. So the reason why I came right to here where I'm at is because oftentimes, deer will walk the edges and the corners. So it's possible even that there'll be deer or game trails paralleling the fence going in this direction. This is a corner right here. The private property goes like this, and the public land is on the woods side. Private land's on the field side. And so I kind of was looking up in here for a stand location because this can be a big filtering zone. They can filter out the corner of the private here, and they could also filter out along the edge of that if they don't want to jump the fence or can't jump the fence. Especially does with fawns this time of year. Fawns well, a fawn could easily go under the fence, this type of fence, but some fences, chain link fences, they can't. So then they'll skirt the edges of those. Maybe the mom will jump the fence and feed. The fawns will be stuck on the other side. But another thing to note is there is a little bit of a dip in the topography over here, so that could be a good funneling point for the deer to enter the woods, because down in the dip they can't be seen as easily as up on high ground. So I'm going to work this fence row down and see what I find. Okay, now I'm at the actual bottom area. This is the lowest point, and deer could certainly filter out. We're filtering. There is another drainage spot right here. I'm only about 25 yards from the last one, maybe 30. Deer could easily slip under there. A buck that's not particularly big could get his rack under there. And there's also one of the few rubs I've found since I've been here. And this has been rubbed on multiple years. It's real old, and then this is a little bit newer. But even this newer one is still fairly old, and probably like, it's a younger deer. It's low to the ground. That's how you can tell a lot of times how close to the ground it is. Closer to the ground, the younger the deer. There's one more really old rub, probably at least 6 years old. It's healed over. The deer sign has been extensively disappointing here where we're scouting. So I'm actually not looking forward to coming back. And it's the first time I've ever felt that way about a spot. Okay, I found a spot where the deer jumped the fence. And it's a little bit of a high spot so they can see both directions when they come over the fence out of this thick stuff. But you can tell they jumped the fence here because there's signs of a trail right here. So you come up and inspect, and you can see right here, not sure how it'll come out, there's white hair in that barbed wire right there, the top of the fence, right in that spot. And then you can see there's indentations in the grass where they walk out from here. And just complaining about his rental.
Yeah, the smart cars aren't apparently that smart after all, because you can't back up when there's weeds behind you. It thinks there's something there and stops you abruptly. I don't like it.
I want the, what do you call it, hi everybody. What's the sunroof that pops all the way open? You can stick your body out of it.
We're gonna go see if there's any deer to be found in a field anywhere, as we make our final decision as to whether or not we will even bother coming back here to hunt.
This is a big decision.
Huge.
This is crazy.
God be with us to make this huge decision.
Well, you think about how much money we have in this. It is a huge decision. It's like a big gamble, you know.
Yeah.
We're throwing the money. We're throwing all our money on the table.
Going all in right here.
All in.
So we've found a vantage point, and we're hoping we don't get shot by these landowners. But there's some pigs up on this hillside over here.
Look at that pig. This is all the way to the left side.
So Sean,
it's way too far.
Like
it's
10
way.
pigs. Can we go pig hunting? What's
Holy
the number?
cow, look at
There
those
they are.
pigs. Holy
They're
moly.
running up the hill.
Is it
Oh, there's a
10
bunch,
pigs?
yeah.
Or 15 pigs? How many pigs does it take to come back?
Well, we're not.
pigs.
If we were looking for pigs, then we'd be happy right now. But just remind you, we're looking for deer.
They're all fat pigs.
Yeah, that is right. Forgot about that. We were
Oh, they're
looking for
spread out
deer.
all over there.
Yeah,
They're all over.
it's
Yeah.
a herd of pigs.
Oink oink.
In Missouri, we found it.
We found the only deer in Missouri.
Why is a big zoom on their camera?
I'm looking at it. I mean, there's no antlers.
No, it's a doe. It's a deer.
A female deer. Isn't there like that's from The Sound of Music, but there's another one like when they're sad or something. There's a song from that.
That sounds like
Oh, she's looking back. She's looking back.
There's gotta be
You
something.
want me to move up my seat up a little bit?
No, you're good. You're fine.
She's looking.
Sneak out.
Yeah, I just spin out.
She just wagged her tail. That means come here.
I can't believe we actually found a deer.
Watch behind her.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able
Here
to
comes a 10.
see to the left and see if
Yeah.
there's anything.
That's probably a big 10 point.
You know, I wonder if I go up to the crest of this hill if we could see anything else.
You know, it's sad and bleak when you when you get excited about a
Yeah.
doe.
Yeah, 4 guys
200
sticking
yards.
their heads out the window.
We're
just gonna stay here.
That's about 150, right?
This is the most exciting
Pound
thing
up.
we've seen all weekend.
We've been able to determine that it's actually a buck.
With one eye, but I can't. Looks like a spike or something.
It's a 4 point, I think. Maybe it's 6. What do you think it is, John?
Yeah, he might be, I don't know, 4 or 6. He's high. I mean, it comes up high.
Still only, what, a year and a half, maybe?
Yeah. Alright, so I'm sitting here editing this video footage. This is the scout trip for the Map Reading Challenge in Missouri. If you're not familiar with my Map Reading Challenge, make sure you not only subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed, but go over to my Map Reading Challenge YouTube channel. I'll put a link for it in the description section. But we scouted it out, and I gotta tell you, the sign was not that great. Maybe you're wondering, where were you? We were in Mark Twain National Forest, and there was just a lot of pigs there. So we are actually going to go back and hunt that. I do not know how we're going to do. So if you want to see more videos from the scout trip, I've got a lot more video footage than I shared here, as well as in camp with the guys. And then you can find out what happens when we actually go back. Do we actually harvest something or not? So stay tuned for that. This has been Scouting Deer on Public Land in Missouri. Until next time, take care and God bless.